Welcome to Skill Set Counseling. My name is Dr. Felicia. I'm a licensed psychologist, and I focus on the treatment of OCD, spiritual abuse, and cultural abuse. Today's video is going to be a topic within the domain of spiritual abuse, and I'm going to be briefly talking about how spiritually abusive messages open the door for more spiritual abuse and basically continue the cycle. And the way that spiritually abusive messages do this is that they attack us for being human and thereby strip us of our humanity. And I'm going to talk about how spiritually abusive messages do this. One thing that I've noticed, and I'd like to hear from you in the comments as well, if you've noticed this as well, is that in a lot of spiritually abusive messaging, whether it's communication from a spiritually abusive person or in like sermons or messages, you tend to frequently hear humanity being attacked. And what I mean by humanity are normal human responses and emotions. So things like fear, anger, pain, things like, just regular run-of-the-mill everyday emotions and experiences that we have as humans are demonized a lot of times in spiritually abusive messages. And so people are told, and it's not always done explicitly, it can be implicit. And what I mean by implicit is, hidden or implied, that if you are angry about something, if you're afraid, if you've experienced pain, if you have, if you feel like a need for justice, if you have a hard time with certain types of emotions or difficult past experiences, that there is something wrong with you or you are not a spiritual person. There's always some kind of like label or judgment attached to that. And I want to emphasize that these normal human emotions and experiences that I'm talking about are separate and distinct from reactions. And so people can feel angry, people can have past hurts, people can, feel fearful, pain, whatever the emotion is, and they can choose to respond to that in a variety of different ways. Some are going to be healthy, some are not healthy. And so everybody as a human being has a choice as to how they are going to respond to difficult emotions or difficult experiences. All right. But what I'm talking about are the presence of those difficult reactions, right? So sadness at the loss of somebody, or fear when you hear impending like bad news, things like that. In spiritually abusive environments, a lot of times we'll hear people being judged for having those types of reactions. So if you were a truly spiritual person or a mature person or a good person, you wouldn't have any fear, right? You wouldn't have any sadness. If you are going through a loss, you would just get over it right away. If you were wronged, you wouldn't feel angry about it, right? So these are the types of messages that people frequently hear in these types of environments. So that is a way that spiritual abusive messages can strip us of our humanity. And I think it's really important to realize that as you are listening to messages, whether you are talking with somebody or listening to, some kind of speech or sermon or whatever, it's important that you have your senses attuned to this type of messaging, because it's actually really harmful. I'm going to explain why. So if we are in situations where we are continually told that our humanity is bad, then we can start turning those types of messages and that type of sentiment on ourselves, right? So if you are always shamed for having a human reaction, then when you start feeling those reactions yourself, then you're going to try and turn them off and suppress them, right? And I talk a lot about this in one of my videos. I think it's the one on how spiritual abuse affects the body. So I'd encourage you to go and watch that video, because I talk more about how emotional suppression can affect us physically. But if you are frequently being told that there is something wrong with you because you feel angry in response to something, or you feel sad, or you feel scared. And I'm not talking now about your response, but just that initial feeling. If you're always shamed for that, then when you do feel that feeling, you're going to do whatever you can to suppress it or turn it off or distract yourself from it. And many times it's not healthy, right? So let's say you've been through like a loss recently. You lost somebody that was important to you. And from the environment that you're in, you're told, well, grieving is selfish, or, it's a sign of like poor spiritual maturity or whatever it is. If you're in a situation where have lost somebody, or it doesn't even have to be somebody, maybe it's something that was important to you, you are not going to you're going to feel that grief, right? That grief isn't just going to disappear, but you're not going to be able to deal with it effectively because of that messaging you've gotten from that spiritually abusive environment. Okay. And so when you are in a position, or when you are being told from other people that what makes you human also makes you bad, then you're going to be an easier person to control, right? You're going to be less likely to advocate for yourself. You're going to be less likely to protect yourself. You're going to be less likely to create healthy boundaries. And again, this is really important. Spiritually abusive environments strip people of their humanity. And when you're stripped of your humanity, when you feel that you are less than human, and when you are being told, basically, not explicitly now, because I talk about how spiritually abusive environments work, they're not going to tell you you aren't a human being, but they're going to show you that through their actions and through what they say. So when you keep getting that messaging over and over again, that you are not a human being, right? That really attacks your self-worth. And so when you internalize that over and over again, then you're not going to stand up for yourself, right? And you're not going to require others to treat you a certain way. You're not going to require others to hold to a certain standard of decency and respect and courtesy. And so it's almost like you end up doing the work, you end up taking on the work of the spiritually abusive environment. And that's really important. And when you start suppressing your own humanity, then you become out of touch with so many things. And that's why people who have been through spiritual abuse and other types of abuse will say things to me like, I have difficulty trusting my gut, or trusting my instincts, or like I feel disconnected from my body. I feel like I can't trust what my body's telling me to do. And it's no surprise, because over and over you've been told that you are that what makes you human is what makes you bad. And again, I'm going to emphasize this because I can see some people probably not understanding this the right way, is that there are wrong and harmful and maladaptive ways to react to our human emotions. You can be angry and decide to assault somebody, or say something very mean to somebody, or use substances to deal with that. And that is harmful, and that is not the right way to deal with anger. But I'm not talking about how you respond to these types of human emotions and circumstances and things like that. I'm talking about the presence of them themselves. Feeling angry, feeling sad, feeling hurt, feeling rejected, feeling a need for justice, struggling with letting go of past hurts. These are all things that are part of the human experience, and we can choose to deal with them in healthy and adaptive ways, or not deal with them. And what the spiritually abusive message is telling you is that the presence of those things indicate a failure on your part. And so they set these unrealistic expectations. If something happens to you, you shouldn't feel angry, right? If you've been wronged in any way, you shouldn't have any bad feelings about it. You should just be, just happy and trust that everything will work out right. And that's kind of that toxic positivity that I talk about in some of my videos. And I'd encourage you to watch that video as well if you're not familiar with what toxic positivity is. But this is what spiritual abuse does to people. And so the next time you hear a spiritually abusive message, I want you to tune in and think, what parts of humanity are being attacked here, right? Sometimes, a lot of spiritually abusive environments are very rigid, and they have a very difficult time showing people the difference between experiencing an emotion and reacting to it in a healthy way. And so for these types of environments and these types of people, having any kind of negative emotion is bad. And the fact is, we all experience those emotions. Even people who claim that they don't, they do, but sometimes because they're just so out of touch with their bodies and their emotions, are in, deep levels of denial, they claim they don't. But there are emotions and experiences that are just weave the common thread of our human experience. And so what I'd like for you to do is, the next time you hear a message like that, think about what part of humanity is being attacked here, right? And when you think about that, think about how that type of spiritually abusive message can continue, or open the doors rather, for more spiritual abuse. Okay. So I hope that information is helpful to you. If you would like to book a free consultation with me, you can go to my website, skillsetcounseling.com, and click on the orange button for free consultation, or you can also go in the description box and click the link there for a free consultation. And I'd also like to hear from you in the comment section. What parts of humanity do you feel have been attacked or criticized by the spiritually abusive environment, or even spiritually abusive people that you know? I can think of many, but I would love to hear from you all in the comment section. And then also, if you just have any tips for other people about how to, how to manage like coping with this type of messaging, or just even your own internal reactions, that would also really help as well. I really am hoping that this community will be a place that other people can share ideas and share ways that they have grown throughout their journey. All right. So I hope you have a wonderful day that is filled with peace. Bye-bye.